We begin where we finished the show yesterday with the stupidity and the ignorance of LeBron James, the most protected man in the history of American sports media. What did I tell you during yesterday's show? I said, hey, pay attention to what goes on all day long. LeBron James on Wednesday afternoon posted a picture of a Columbus, Ohio police officer who had shown up at a near murder and saved the life of a teenager who was just about to be stabbed potentially to death. Saved that girl's life. And LeBron James didn't criticize the girl who had a knife in her hand and was potentially going to stab to death an unarmed, innocent teenager. Instead, he criticized the police officer who arrived in that situation, assessed the danger, and I believe saved the life of an innocent girl. And if you wonder, do stabbings end in death? In that same state of Ohio, on almost the exact same day, another teenage girl was stabbed to death in Cincinnati, Ohio. In Columbus, Ohio, fortunately, this police officer was there to save that girl's life. LeBron sent out a series of insanely stupid tweets that continued to inflame the situation in our country and continued to argue the exact opposite of the truth, which is that police are the problem, not violent people making insanely idiotic decisions. And all of this continues to call into question the absurdity of the way my industry protects and coddles idiots like LeBron James. Here is what LeBron tweeted after he deleted the picture of a police officer that he sent out to his 50 million Twitter followers demanding action. You can't even read or make sense hardly of what this dude is saying. I'm reading directly from LeBron. Anger does any of us any good, and that includes myself, exclamation point. The brilliant LeBron James, savant, according to the sports media, his opening sentence tweet, all caps, anger does any of us any good, and that includes myself. It's a exclamation point. A totally nonsensical sentence. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though, exclamation point. My anger still is here for what happened to that little girl. That little girl, LeBron, who had a knife in her hand and was trying to stab someone to death. My sympathy for her family, and may justice prevail. You are so dumb, LeBron James, that it actually makes my head hurt. You were angry at the police officer who kept a girl from getting killed, and you are concerned about the little girl with the knife in her hand who was trying to stab somebody to death. You, sir, are literally almost too dumb for words. LeBron also said, I'm so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police. I took the tweet down because it's being used to create more hate. This isn't about one officer. It's about the entire system, and they always use our words to create more racism. I am so desperate for more, all caps, accountability. LeBron, why aren't you so damn tired of seeing black people killed by other black people? You're blaming the police officer here who actually kept a black person from being killed by another black person. Do you know that 93% of all black murders are committed by black people in this country? And that if you eliminated every police shooting that has occurred in the past year of a black person, which, by the way, 25% of all police shootings are black victims, 75% are white, Asian, or Hispanic. You never hear about any of those, by the way. White, Asian, and Hispanic people are 75% of the people that are shot by police in this country. Do you know that if we eliminated every police shooting, even though the vast majority of them are justified, like the one that hero cop in Columbus, Ohio did to save the life of a girl that would have otherwise been stabbed to death potentially? You know that if we eliminated every police shooting, over 99% of all black deaths occurring violently via murder would still be occurring? When you focus on police shootings and try to make police responsible for black violence, what you are doing is ignoring 99% of all black violence, which is almost all committed by black people against other black people, and you are not addressing the underlying issue that would actually make all Americans safer. In fact, what LeBron James and many other idiot athletes like LeBron James are doing is basically looking at a 1,000-pound person and saying, man, your big toe's too fat. Why is your big toe so fat? Because the whole body is fat. You don't solve major issues in the country by focusing on tiny parts of it and ignoring the rest. And everybody in my industry, I'm calling them all out in sports media. Nobody else even talked about how dumb LeBron James's tweets were and even discussed it in any significant way in sports media but me and but Outkick. This is what happens. People in sports media are so afraid of angering powerful people like LeBron James and all of his protectors in the media that they won't actually speak out and share the truth, which is LeBron James and everybody else following his lead is making America less safe for everyone than it would be if they had never said a word at all. 2020 murders increased by the largest percentage that they have done in the entirety of this country and almost everyone listening's lives. Do you know who the vast majority of those victims of murders were? Black people. When you demonize the police, who do more to protect black, white, Asian, and Hispanic lives, you lead directly to more death in this country of a violent nature because the criminal element sweeps in when the police are demonized and not able to do their job, and they prey upon the innocent and the vulnerable in this country. And it is so frustrating to have so many people out there in sports media claiming that LeBron James is a voice for betterment of society when the basic facts and his own words prove that to be completely and incontrovertibly false every single day that passes. You are being lied to by most people in sports media, not only by what they say, but what they fail to say. The data and the facts are transparent. They are self-evident. Anyone with a functional brain can see it. I'm one of the only people that will speak truth to power in this entire industry. And I knew this was going to happen. ESPN was going to dodge covering it. Most people at Fox and CBS and NBC and Bleacher Report and everywhere else that has big audiences were going to dodge covering it as well, because there's an entire cottage industry designed to protect LeBron James and other woke athletes from having to be held accountable for what they say and the impact of their own words. Twitter itself protected LeBron James. You can go check out what I wrote and what I said on Twitter on Wednesday night, but I wanted to let all of Thursday play out before I knew what would happen, which would be I would sit down in this chair on Friday morning to start the show, and almost no one would have discussed LeBron James's idiocy in the entirety of sports media all day long. They just pretend it doesn't exist, and it's going to go away. And the reality is, people like LeBron in sports media have a substantial platform, and they are using it to make America more dangerous, more deadly, and more divisive. Far from being forces for good, they are being forces for disunity and death. That's what they're doing. They have blood on their hands because when you demonize the police, the natural result every single time is murder skyrockets, and almost everyone getting murdered is black, and nobody even pays attention. You know what happened? LeBron only talked about that story in Columbus, Ohio, because the police officer was white and because the girl he had to shoot was black. He didn't care about the life of the black girl that was about to be stabbed to death. He didn't care about anything other than the fact that he could demonize that police officer for his race. He could do what bullies do, which is use his Twitter platform of 50 million followers to call out a police officer who's probably making $45,000 a year, risking his life to try to protect people. And he literally just saved, I believe, the life of a young, innocent girl in Columbus, Ohio. And LeBron James and his crew, they aren't at all focused on the life that was saved. They are trying to argue that the girl who had a knife in her hand and was trying to stab someone to death was the victim. That is what they are arguing. Make no mistake about it. It is shameful. It is pathetic. And anyone with a voice in sports media that had any ounce of credibility or interest in actually speaking truth to power would be saying this morning exactly what I'm saying about LeBron James. The dude is a fraud. He is not making in any way America a better place. He shuts up and dribbles for China, and America would actually be better off if he would shut up and dribble if he's going to be making the idiotic and asinine and stupid statements that he's regularly making on social media. I'm sick of him being coddled. I'm sick of him being protected. I'm sick of all the people in sports media who are afraid to speak truth to power. If you want the truth, this is the only damn show you can find it on every single day across this entire country. And that, my friends, is why Outkick is dominating and why we are growing, because there is a desperate desire for truth. There is a desperate desire for someone and many people out there to bring us all together through sports, whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, gay, or straight. No matter what your background is, we all should be united in a common humanity and love of sports. This is Outkick. I'm fired up. We got a big show coming your way on Fox Sports Radio.